All right, welcome to our classroom session on strategic analysis. Today, we're going to dig into a really fundamental question in business, and by the end of this, I promise you'll have a solid framework and the tools you need to analyze the world around any business, which is, a huge skill for your exams.
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? And, while there are a million different factors, a huge piece of the puzzle is how well a business actually understands the world it's operating in. It's not enough to have a great product. You've got to know how to navigate the currents of the wider environment. Okay, so let's dive right in. First things first, we need a solid definition. What exactly is the business environment? Well, think of it as everything outside the walls of your company that can affect, everything. Your performance, your decisions, and whether you ultimately succeed or fail. I love this quote by Keith Davis because it really captures how all-encompassing this is. Let's use an analogy. Imagine your business is a ship. The environment is the vast, unpredictable sea it's sailing on. It's the weather, the currents, other ships, it's everything. A good captain knows the sea. A great strategist knows the business environment.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, this distinction between two types of environments. First, you got the internal environment. This is everything happening on your ship. Your crew, your engine's condition, your supplies. These are things you can pretty much control, and they are the source of your strengths and your weaknesses. Then you have the external environment. That's the open sea, the weather, the trade routes, maybe even pirates. You can't control these things, but boy do they present massive opportunities and some really serious threats. This distinction is absolutely fundamental, so make sure you've got this one locked down.
So, if the external environment is this huge, vast sea, how on earth do we even begin to map it? Well, strategists use a really handy tool called PEST analysis. It's basically a framework for scanning the horizon and understanding the major forces that are at play out there.
First up, the P stands for political. Think of this as checking the political weather. Is the government stable? Are there new laws coming that could change things? Take a second and think about a recent political event and how it might impact a big company. These factors create the currents that can either push you forward or totally hold you back.
Next, E is for economic. And these are like the economic tides. Things like interest rates, inflation, and just the general health of the economy. They determine how much money your customers have to spend and how expensive it is for you to even operate. This stuff directly affects how much fuel you have in the tank and what new ports you can afford to visit. Then we have S for socio-cultural. These are the deep, powerful social currents. What do people believe? How are their lifestyles changing? For example, an aging population creates a completely different market than a really young one. And believe me, ignoring these cultural shifts is like trying to sail against a current you can't even see.
And finally, we have T for technological. These are the powerful waves of innovation. A new technology can be this huge wave that just propels your ship forward at an incredible speed. Or it can be a rogue wave that sinks you if you're not ready for it. Just think about what streaming services did to video rental stores. That was a technological wave for sure.
Okay, so let's move to our next tool and see how all of this connects. Now that we've sort of mapped the sea using PEST, we need a way to connect that map to the actual condition of our own ship. And for that, we use the famous SWOT analysis.
You've probably heard of this one. SWOT is just an acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is that key moment where the captain takes the map of the sea, those opportunities and threats we just found with PEST, and compares it to a really honest assessment of the ship's condition, its strengths, and its weaknesses. And this matrix, this brilliantly illustrates the entire point of the exercise. Look at this thing. It's not just about making 4 separate lists, no way. It's about matching. It forces you to ask, how can we use our strengths to really grab those opportunities, and how do we use those same strengths to defend ourselves against the threats out there? This is where real strategy is born. So here's the crucial point, and this is definitely a write this down moment for your notes. Strengths and weaknesses are internal. They are about your ship, your resources, your team. You can work to change them. Opportunities and threats, on the other hand, are external. They are about the sea around you. You can't change them, but you absolutely have to navigate them. Got it? All right, now for the really practical part. Grab your notebook because this is where we connect all this theory to what you're actually going to see on an exam. Let's look at a common type of question and break down some new terms they might throw at you. So imagine you're studying your textbook. You're feeling pretty good about SWOT.
And then you see a question like this. What on earth are ETOP and SAP? It's a classic exam curveball, right? They introduce terms that might not be in the main chapter, but are directly related. But don't worry, we're going to break them down.
Let's start with ETOP. It stands for Environmental Threat and Opportunity Profile. It sounds complicated, but it's just a more formal, focused way of doing part of our SWOT analysis. It's basically a detailed report on the O and the T, the opportunities and threats. It's that detailed map of the C conditions we were talking about.
And this slide makes the difference crystal clear. If an exam asks you to differentiate between them, here's your answer. ETOP looks outside the company, at the external environment. Its counterpart, SAP, or Strategic Advantage Profile, looks inside the company to analyze its internal strengths and weaknesses. See? ETOP is the map of the sea, SAP is the ship's status report. That's a perfect one-liner for your revision notes.
Now, another favorite exam topic is asking about the limitations of SWOT. So let's talk pitfalls. The biggest danger is that it just becomes a simple laundry list without any deep strategic thinking. To avoid that, you have to always ask, so what, for every single point you write down. Don't just list a strength. Explain how you'll use it to seize an opportunity. Remembering these pitfalls, and more importantly, how to get around them, will make your exam answers so much stronger. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's pull this all together into a final action plan for your revision. This way, you'll know exactly what to focus on. When you're studying, seriously, prioritize these topics. SWOT analysis questions, they come up constantly. Make sure you can explain the economic and sociocultural parts of PEST in detail. And now, you also know to be ready for those questions on ETOP and SAP. This right here is your high-yield study list.
And finally, to really make all of this stick, don't just memorize the terms, apply them. Pick a company you follow or find interesting. What's the biggest technological wave or social current affecting it right now? Is that an opportunity for them, or is it a threat? Honestly, the best way to master these tools is to actually use them. Good luck!